UTG is a special IEM for a reason. UTG comes with a dynamic driver, but the most interesting part about the driver is it is made out of glass. I have very little knowledge about the modal behaviors of tiny drivers, but they market as engineered for speed, clarity, and control. So let's see how really does it perform. First of all, let's talk about the packaging. UTG comes in a very generic packaging that you can see with most SIMGA IEMs. Underneath that, you get a very good looking semi-hard fake leather case with a bunch of accessories and tips. There are two kinds of ear tips. You can get hard one with the white, and you can get a bit softer with the black. I prefer to use the aftermarket tips to tune the IM even further in the way that I like. I would advise exactly the same. Now talking about pairing. For pairing, I prefer a warm source for this IM. UTG have a quite noticeable boost in treble frequencies, so taming it down a bit while elevating the sub bass can only cause good things to my ears. Powering this IM is extremely easy and literally everything can power it. Now talking about fit and comfort, UTG looks absolutely stunning. The wood they used sourced from South America, and it's actually naturally aged sandalwood, which gives it a nice latte color. Each piece is hand polished and it shows the quality of work done in this regard. The housing is made out of zinc alloy. It is not that thick at the end, yet it becomes quite comfortable and pillow friendly, to be honest, for my use. Talking about the cable they include is quite nicer too. No memory or microphones can be noticed here. Microphonics can be noticed here. The cable has interchangeable terminations, which makes it compatible with vast majority of the devices. Coming to the sound quality, uh, make sure to take a look at my ranking list to compare it with other IEMs. Usually sound quality is not something that I prefer naturally. Having said that, I know a lot of people who love this tonality. In fact, I met a lot more people who love this tonality of UTG compared to me. I sensed people prefer Harman IE tuning generally gravitate towards UTG a bit more. Now looking at the SIVGA and how they advertise it, it's kind of worth looking at. They said it is designed for incredible speed, clarity and control. Now let's talk about speed, clarity and control. The transients nature, aka speed in this IM is really good. I can't say it's class leading or anything, but it's balanced in a nice way. The attacks are quite fast and snappy, decay is fast too and not in a unnatural way. Due to placing peaks in the treble, the clarity enhances quite a bit, and we can definitely call it a fairly resolving IM which can outpass something like Truthier Hexa and that sort of stuff. This must have pointed out that UTZ is a technically sounding IM to begin. So the other aspects of the sound, like the musicality, are a bit compromised in this regard because tone and technicalities are the same thing. The control, due to the transient nature, is also quite good. Even in the bass region, it's somewhat kind of mid-bassy, which hasn't affected the performance even a single bit. The bass neither sounded too quick, not too slow. It's everything placed in a good way. Talking about the detail and resolution, SIVGA greatly marketed it as a highly resolving set with an expansive 3D stage, and I agree with both of them. QUTG is quite a detailed IM. Micro nuances to micro contrasts are easily found out. The texturing and the stops like trailing edges are excellently observed. The overtones and undertones carried out vividly by the exchange of tonality for some technicalities. The soundstage is also on the expensive side of things, although the stage is a bit squeezed from left to right in a stereo fashion. Vocalists sit on a separate layer which helps to create the distinction. Nothing feels too claustrophobic or in the face though. Talking about the tonality again, UTG is not a super sub-bassy IM. It can produce sub-bass with enormous amount of texture and details. It's just the amplitude is not enough to call it a very sub-bass focused IM. The mid-bass on the other hand feels like it is much more prominent than the sub-bass. Doesn't have similar texturing as the sub-bass, but punch and slam are there in ample manner. Now I can call this IM very bassy one. The amplitude is pretty tasteful and not exaggerated in a sense that it is not bass focused. In songs like Here for Now by Louis the Child, the bass feels linear and well placed. Not even a single bass hit felt overwhelming, as this track tends to overdo the midway section a bit much. Finally, I can say I'm too disappointed with this IM in the bass department. Not that I place it high or it does the job very well, but it is what it is. Coming to the lower mids, you can easily sense some well-added warmth to the male vocals. Mid bass beautifully complements the region, no bleed or anything that can be noticed here. Sometimes higher pitch vocals might sound a bit papery, which is unavoidable due to the treble region. But apart from that, I didn't have a big issues with the mid-range either. Texturing and all are apt enough to justify the price, incredibly detailed again with full-bodied signature and sound. Upper registers are not well put together with the lower registers of the UTG. Female vocals sound a bit floaty and nasally. There's a sense of boxiness that is hard to ignore. Things like overtone and details and resolution are there. It's just refinement up top is not there in the upper mid range. Triple on the UTG is pretty interesting. Coming to the good aspects, it's squeaky, clean, and fast. Incredibly resolving and detailed with every ornamentation added to flavor like air frequencies and trailing edges. Not for my personal taste. In treble, especially on this IEM, it was somehow manageable. I had the most problem with the treble, and it took away the treble is not for my personal taste, to be honest. I had the most problem with the treble, and it took away most of the fun for me. Now I know to give the details and imaging soundstage sort of stuff, you need to make treble this way, but things like cymbal crashes and overtones of certain instruments sounded a bit metallic and shrill. Of course, to my ears and my length mode. There are many wideband peaks from 4 kHz to 15 kHz that contribute to this feeling. The reason you need a dedicated good amount of time to find the best combination of ear tips and source or just EQ the heck out of this IM is commendable. Now coming to the pros and cons ultimately, if we ignore the upper mids to treble in ununiformity, UTG is a great IM if you love technicalities, details, soundstage resolution, sort of stuff. Um, because it's there in that IM, and I can really call it a beast for this kind of nature. But if you are like me who prefers musicality, then I don't think it's might be a great choice. This is my review, and until then, bye.